Right. We are live. We are recording. And hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I am the Athletic Geek, joined on the other end of the tin cannon string by CJ.
Yo.
And Easy.
Greetings from Maple Syrupville, also known as Vermont.
I thought your homeland would be Maple Syrupville.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we perfected it. And Vermont just does their thing. I'm just going to tell you, it's not...
Yeah, it says trying to reconnect.
Oh, boy.
I'm on data, so...
There you go.
Alright, now I'm going to go to the Wi-Fi and see if it's working. Gotta love all of the piss-poor internet that we have here. That we're paying for.
I just realized, we're a lot like SmackDown, We'll put out something awesome, but we're always going to be on different channels.
But, yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about today, and I need to share this link with my wonderful Twitter followers who would like to know that I am, in fact, live on Facebook.
Live and alive.
Live on Facebook, no longer live on YouTube because issues. But it seems like the issues have crept over to Facebook, so...
Oh my god.
Alright. Here we go again.
Wait, we're not live now?
No, we're live. It's just like trying to share this is like pulling teeth.
No, we're live. It's just like
yeah, it's like pulling teeth. Someone get the good doctor in here.
No. And we'll touch up later about what my floor section had some creative chants.
See, I just wish it would make it easier to just copy a link. Like, I don't understand what the whole
Facebook's trying to be meta, y'all.
Yeah,
they are meta.
What the whole yeah.
See
but
that?
Like,
that's just like
they're not Animaniacs meta. They're just boring meta.
There we go. There we go. Why has it got to be so... Why they got to go and make things so complicated?
You're acting like a fool. Not really my favorite Avril Lavigne song, like "It'll Always Be Girlfriend." Which, fun fact, at one point, that was the most viewed video on YouTube, was Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend.
All right. Well, so it was a big week in wrestling this week, now that we're out there publicly. If you've never seen the show before, this is the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I'm at CJ locally. I'm at Easy at All In and StarCast. We love wrestling. We love talking wrestling. We love sharing a love of pro wrestling with each and every one of you out there. However, just like each and every one of you out there, we are just fans. Our opinions are that of any other fan. We avoid insider terms because at the end of the day, we're not insiders. We're not wrestlers. We's a bunch of effing marks.
Oh, fucking marks.
A bunch of effing marks. And, well, a lot to talk about. We're going to have Raw was eventful and not too bad this week. Dynamite. Going to get two perspectives. One from watching it at home, one from live. And we're also going to talk about, if we have time, some potential drama that may or may not have happened. So let's start with Raw. Maybe, if this would just... here we go. So the show starts off with, like, they do the pyro, and then, like, it shows the cameraman, like, running backstage to catch Riddle and Seth Rollins having a fight. I thought this was a good way to kind of, like, do, you know, it was different. I know it's been, like, done before. You know, it's not completely original, but this is kind of like an interesting way to start off Raw because they don't really do that very often. What everybody else think of this kind of way of opening this episode?
Despite Raw being in Toronto, I actually didn't really see any of it. Like, it's still, I'm on a progress of when I have the time and efforts if I didn't have other things going on.
All right, well, CJ, what'd you think?
It was a different way, you know, than they have been. So it's not a bad thing. It's a good way to continue the feud between these two, building to a little more than a week away.
I feel like this should be an unsanctioned match.
And they might put some kind of a stipulation on it. Still, they've got some time, and it's justified. But I think that they'll probably kind of try and stay away from stipulations since it got a little over the top lately. Before, in the before time.
It is so far. It's only listed as just a singles match. So yeah.
Segment with Trish Stratus. She comes out and gets interrupted by Bayley's group. I thought this was a good segment. I thought this was a good use of Trish to kind of help with Bayley's group. What'd you think?
It was okay. I mean, they had Trish going on the house shows, so you kind of had to have her on Raw since it was in Toronto. So I thought this was a good use of Trish to kind of play into the real storylines and build up the everyday talent that you've got instead of just bringing her out and talking about nothing.
This would have been great if it weren't for the fact that this really didn't feel like a surprise because they said, oh, hey, Trish Stratus is coming back. Okay, how about you just do it when it actually happens? Like, we'll actually keep the audience surprised. Like, we already know Edge is going to be at Raw because, well, duh, that's Toronto's homeboy forever and ever. But just, like, they already said next week, you know, they're in Pittsburgh. Kurt Angle is going to be there. It's like, how about you just don't say anything and open the show with Kurt Angle coming back, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's back. He's here.
Because
it's not really a debut and it's going to pop a rating.
Yeah, because there might be people going like, oh, hey, Trish Stratus is back or Kurt Angle's back. I might want to watch now.
When they did the Elias segments and then Trish Stratus interrupted, that caused me to freak out because that is what a surprise should be. But anyways, we'll get to more on someone else returning.
It's not like they didn't have their share of surprises here.
Yeah.
I know, but still, like, show, don't tell. I like being surprised.
Well, there's room for both, in my opinion, and I feel like with things like that, you know, especially if you, like, want to move some more tickets, that's a good way of moving tickets. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to go.
They didn't need that to move the tickets.
Yeah, not in Toronto, but like Pittsburgh, you might need it.
You really won't have ticket issues with Toronto wrestling fans.
But Pittsburgh, on the other hand,
like, we've got at least 6 different indie promotions in that city alone.
Yes, but you also got to remember about the independent promotions. There's probably a lot of people going, I'm not going to see no WWE. You know, even with the change in direction, there's still a lot of people who believe that if you go to WWE, you're not a good wrestling fan.
I'm going to get to a little bit of a rant about that little conflict later when we have time. So anyways, carry on with the format.
Moving on, turns into a semifinal match for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Alexa Bliss and Asuka are defeated by Io Sky and Dakota Kai. That's a good call. Definitely a good call.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Dolph Ziggler versus Finn Balor. This was a damn good match. This shows how good both wrestlers are. And I think we tend to forget because of how misused he's been and how much of an afterthought he's been for so many years, how good Dolph Ziggler is, and he's shown how good he's been the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a really good kind of unofficial rebranding of Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
He hasn't really changed anything about his character work, but it's like, hey, you guys remember that I'm actually like a really good wrestler, right? You remember? Oh, okay, let me remind you. And there have been a lot of them, especially on Raw, I think, that haven't really changed the characters, but have been like intensified a little bit and like, okay, just hang on. Like, I see what you're saying about this being sucky, but just like, let me make these little tweaks. And you're like, oh yeah, this is fantastic. I like this. This is cool. And Dolph is definitely on that list, and Finn for that matter too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Chad Gable comes out for an open challenge, which is answered by Kevin Owens. Another great match.
The next one on the list of, let me just tweak this a little bit, and I'll make it like the best part of fucking Raw every week is Kevin Owens.
But again, like I've loved the character for a long time now, but like we're also still seeing just how great Chad Gable is, and I love the shoosh. The shoosh is great.
I'm actually a little excited because he made a comment about adding people to the Alpha Academy, and I'm a little excited to see that if they actually go through with that and who gets added, if that's the case.
Yeah. Next match we have Aaliyah versus Bayley. Aaliyah, a wrestler from Toronto, is the first person from Toronto to lose and keep that trope of WWE going. But it's something that needed to happen because she wrestled Bayley, and if you want to make this whole group and make Bayley seem like a big deal, they gotta win. And they gotta win often. You know,
and also we're talking about like surprises for WWE. This was a surprise because I don't even think anybody in Toronto knew that Aaliyah was from there.
I didn't even know we had another person from Toronto. Like, yeah, that surprised me.
So they're surprise number one for Raw.
Ha ha.
Next up, we have The Miz and Ciampa versus Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles. Good match, goes to a DQ, just kind of brawls into a DQ. I know the people didn't like the finish, but hey.
Since when does Raw ever give us a great finish?
It didn't brawl into a DQ. It kidnapped into a DQ.
That's true, yeah, kidnapped.
Like, there wasn't really a disqualification brawl. It's when the Miz got kidnapped. He was Miz-napped.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like it just kind of, that happened, and then the fighting from Ciampa and Lashley just kind of went, and then it kind of ended. So so it is something like, I know, especially, you know, when we're used to AEW and things like that, like the DQs, getting away from that and what have you, and I get it, but this was an instance of a DQ being used well.
Yeah, it was fine. And we've got surprise number 2.
Yes, next up.
No. I'm still in the same segment.
Oh,
Dexter has an accomplice.
They finally acknowledged Dexter Loomis is a person.
They did acknowledge Dexter Loomis. He has an accomplice, you guys, and we don't know who that is.
The thing is, like, I like them not acknowledging Dexter Loomis because if they don't acknowledge him, it seems more like, oh my God, what's going on?
But I liked the way that they acknowledged him here.
It makes them feel dumbfounded. It's like, okay, if this was the 90s, I get it. But we're in a day and age of social media. People can actually research, see who it is. Like, we're not stupid.
But they're still trying to tell the story that this isn't supposed to happen.
But this guy did work for your company.
Yes.
He legitimately worked there for a time.
To add more confusion, he showed up the next day on NXT 2.0 to see Indy Hartwell again, which well, since when do we ever talk about NXT anymore? But anyways, stick with one person in one storyline.
I think that's what they're doing.
We're
not Chris Jericho. He's not a wizard where he can be in 3 other storylines.
Yes. It's magic.
But
the magic mute.
So next up is the re-debut and return of Johnny Gargano. Like, it actually took a couple minutes to set in because they just come back from Raw and then the beginning of Rebel Heart plays. I'm like, what song is that? The song is that what I think? Huh?
Well,
what? Oh, it's Johnny Gargano.
Yeah. Firstly, Toronto, you have failed me. For God's sakes, are people that forgotten to know what his sound or his theme song sounded like? Or, oh, wait a minute, this isn't Def Rebel. Actually, wait, it is. Never mind. But still,
to be fair, he doesn't have that rapport with the main roster fans yet.
Well.
But also, you couldn't recognize his logo? Come on.
The logo didn't flash. It doesn't. Gargano and the logo doesn't flash in the first 3 chords of the song. It when we saw it on the screen, that's when it first shows up.
No, people popped when it said Gargano, and that's
yeah.
Oh,
but
it's Johnny.
here's the thing about it: we just came from a commercial break. They had been playing old wrestler themes through that commercial break. And I guess playing things on the Titantron. So a lot of the people in the crowd thought that they were just playing his music and they were still on a commercial break. They didn't know it was live and they didn't know that he was actually coming until he came out of the tunnel or out of the, the back.
Now, okay, so I'm just going to make this very quick thing here because many people have speculated whether Johnny Gargano he was going to go to AEW or he was going to WWE, and boy, there were a lot of tweets saying oh, all the AEW marks are all crying Johnny Gargano's on WWE. Me, no, we're not. If you
there were some, there were some, maybe not you, but there was a lot of people oh. Man, we're not going to get Punk and Gargano now. We're not going to get Omega and Gargano now.
That have problems as well. You expect, you think Johnny Gargano is going to do better in AEW. I frankly don't care, could care less whether he's going to be successful again with Raw or SmackDown or whatever, or if he was going to go to AEW. For the people who think you are in control of what somebody's decision should be, fuck you.
Yeah.
That is their life. They can do what they want. I'm happy that Gargano is just back on TV, period.
And Johnny's gone on record, and he kind of did this in his return interview where he pretty well said he wants to go to WrestleMania and he wants to hold these belts in the WWE. We've learned. I've said this a million times here on this show.
Champion. I'm gonna love that.
We've all worked ourselves into a bubble of, WWE's bad, and, don't like WWE, and everything's meaningless in WWE, and it is their own doing. I'm not going to deny that at all. But you got to remember, to a lot of wrestlers, WWE is still kind of the dream, and those accomplishments are still the accomplishments they wanted to have in professional wrestling. So, yes, I know there's a lot of people the Young Bucks don't want to be WWE. Kenny Omega doesn't want to be WWE. Okada doesn't want to go to WWE. So why does all these other people
still
want to?
Their unfortunate argument will always be they sold out the Tokyo Dome, which is give credit where it's due. That is a stadium show.
The Bucks never sold out the Tokyo Dome.
Well,
the Bucks. People overrate the Bucks in New Japan. I'm not going to say they were bad, but people really, really live in the BTE bubble with how the Bucks were in New Japan. The Bucks were just kind of
they were there.
Yeah, they were there. They were there it would be like saying that part of the reason why WrestleMania 35 was successful was because of Ryder and Hawkins. It's they were on the show. We got some stuff in the chat here. Loved it. Yeah, I agree. Hoping he wouldn't go to AEW to be what? Johnny Rampage? Yeah. That's something else too.
Johnny Dark.
we're all in
Dynamite.
the AEW bubble,
Actually,
and we think Rampage is great. Some of us in this fan base, but why do people want to go to AEW just to be on Dark and Rampage? Like, really?
It just makes the community look toxic and just really stupid on both sides now. Like, I'm at the point where it's like, yes, I admit, like, I'm on, like, the Team AEW, like, Mark stuff, but I like to see two sides here.
Mm-hmm.
But when both sides are just in cahoots with, like, no, our brand's always just better, it's like, then good for you. If you're claiming us that AEW lives rent-free with WWE, you guys are practically doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That you're mentioning this. Like, this is kind of living rent-free on your head, too.
I was really seeing, I'm not saying, like, I'm still part of the fan base and everything, but
yeah.
WrestleMania weekend was there when Cody went to WWE and all the AEW fans like, oh, you think this is good? Just a reminder that, just a reminder that we got Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole in our camp, and you got the 3-star wonder Cody. LOL. Like,
that just makes us look stupid too. Like, we
I was really beginning to see.
Let's just enjoy the fucking product.
That was what I'm really beginning to see from the AEW fan base.
Debut and on who's better.
That was when I started to really see from here in the AEW fan base just how, like, we're no longer the feel-good revolution that, Easy and I witnessed 4 years ago. It's really beginning to be like
4 years.
Yeah, it's going to be full. It's not that anymore. It's becoming a lot more. Like we're the best, and you're stupid if you don't like it, and this is great, and
By the way,
the toxicity is strong and getting stronger in AEW, and it just makes me right now, especially because to me the show is really getting better. It makes me enjoy WWE that much more.
Yeah. And by the way, since TK bought Ring of Honor, when the hell can we get All In on DVD, please? Or Bleacher Report, please? I actually
You really want to have that on show. Bleacher Report, that fucking piece of shit app?
Okay, then DVD it.
Yeah, something.
Please? I actually want to see how it looked on TV. Regardless of the crappy audio quality that they were encountering.
But Gargano reiterates the points we've talked about on the stream. Theory comes out, and they acknowledge their history. They say they're going to do the pose, and then Gargano super kicks Theory. So that's probably Gargano's first program is with Theory. CJ, what do you think about that?
I think that's great. I think it's cool that they're acknowledging that. And the crowd acknowledged the history as well, because when Theory came out, they chanted, "Who's your daddy?"
Yeah.
So I think that's proof that the crowd did know exactly who they were cheering for and the NXT storylines.
I did watch this segment on YouTube, and it's like I loved every minute of it. Like, I like that Gargano and Theory, they're going to have a great rivalry together. And I'm not saying it is going to be up there with, the Ciampa Gargano rivalry, but this will come a close second best, which I really hope for.
This will be a lot of fun, and it's going to be.
And hopefully, if the ending to it will be better than the Ciampa Gargano rivalry, because they dropped the ball big time with that.
Oh yeah. Let's see. What was it, like the third or the fifth time?
I was saying like the ending of it being the cinematic match they had was just bad in my opinion, and I don't really like.
Actually,
I don't like heel or bad guy Gargano really. Like it worked, but I don't like it.
It's like no.
He's just too good. He's too good on the good side of things.
Also, since Gargano and Ciampa are on the same brand, DIY reunion, perhaps, please.
Kind of hoping for it.
Please,
it would be helpful.
Because I don't get why Ciampa is playing bodyguard to the Miz. Like, do you guys forget he was NXT champion for like how many times?
But he's doing well in that role, though. Keep in mind. Keep in mind. Yes, because he's got to be brought in. Sometimes
his muscles are bigger
you come from humble beginnings. Stone Cold Steve Austin was Ted DiBiase's protege, and was just the guy that was being brought in by the $1 Million Man.
Right, when he was starting off, that I get.
Yes, and on the main roster, Tommaso Ciampa is still starting off.
He's been in the business for 6 years now?
Longer than that, but on the main roster. You got to remember, this is a different ball game. He is on the main roster doing something that can eventually lead him to that. When you're attached to The Miz, you get a lot of TV time. When you're attached to The Miz, they wouldn't attach somebody to The Miz, especially now, who they didn't want to feature well. So, they wouldn't be doing this if there wasn't possibly something for Ciampa down the road.
Well, hopefully, knowing with Hunter in charge, that can
like there's a ready-made story for when this breaks up, and there's a big program with Ciampa and Miz that you can do whenever you decide to go in that direction. Everybody, when they come to the main roster, starts from somewhat of a humble beginning. I talked about Stone Cold Steve Austin, you have Edge and Christian were just a tag team. They're supposed to be with Gangrel, and then they broke out on their own.
Dolph Ziggler was in the Spirit Squad.
Dolph Ziggler was in the Spirit Squad, and he was a weird dude that was just introducing himself to people.
Well, I do hope with long-term storytelling we could get Gargano Ciampa at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that'd be great. But, there's got to be a build to it. And, right now...
obviously, yes.
Right now, I know that's not what we all want out of Ciampa, but this is still good use of him. Because he is featured every week in a prominent role with one of the top guys in the WWE.
Also, can we please get
exactly. Dave Bautista was the deacon to Devon Dudley. Ricky Starks and MJF were actually exactly.
Uh-huh.
Everybody kind of starts from kind of a low level. I mean, John Cena was a fellow wanting to talk about his ruthless aggression. A lot of people had bit parts. The Rock was when Smiling Boy didn't work out. He was brought in essentially just to be muscle for Farouk, and then broke out.
And the Nation of Domination.
Exactly.
CM Punk's first appearance on WWE was as a gangster in John Cena's little mafia tribute.
Yeah.
Which apparently is Chicago.
Razor Ramon was originally muscle for Ric Flair. That was his role, was Ric Flair brought in some backup.
And Kevin Nash was also just brought in as muscle.
Kevin Nash, Diesel was brought in to be muscle for Shawn Michaels.
I guess, just for my argument is, if you already had, something clearly established and well-known with NXT, then you bring him in here. It's it's almost like the strange idea that you were going to have Adam Cole as Keith Lee's manager. It's that in no particular way makes any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
I just...
No, that doesn't make sense. But Ciampa's not a manager. Ciampa is
thank God, no.
a tag team partner, and gets featured matches, gets singles matches. He is attached to probably one of the best bad guys in that company, if not the best bad guy in that company. Nowhere to go but up. Nowhere to go but up.
I mean, I understand if it was maybe a year or two or so, but again, Ciampa's time needs to shine right now. If people are so bored with,
I just kicked Stan. Remember him? His selling was 10 out of 10. Yeah, very much.
Wait, whose selling was who?
Stan. Remember I just kicked Stan? With Shawn Michaels?
Oh,
yeah. He's, his selling was 10 out of 10, and he went on to become, some sort of chairman somewhere. So the main event for Raw, Damian Priest versus Edge. Crowd was hot for their hometown boy Edge. This was a good match. The match was good. The post match was good. Yeah, this was a good episode. Was it history making? No, but it was like history making. It's like it's gonna go down as one of the greatest Raws of all time. No, but it was.
But this was solid.
Solid.
It was a solidly enjoyable wrestling show.
And I don't understand why AEW fans have a problem with WWE still being a solid show. I get the WWE stands, may overrate everything WWE does. We're like, AEW's going out of business soon because Raw was good. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm with it, but also like, fucking just. We have two good wrestling companies right now, guys. Be fucking
I'll refer
happy.
You back to my rant. Just enjoy the fucking product.
And if you don't like it, don't watch and don't comment on it.
You can go back to watching Impact Wrestling for all I care.
Yeah. So.
Or actually worse, NXT 2.0.
It's on the bounce back.
It's
not until it's back to black and gold, then I'll watch.
It's on.
If you watch it and ignore the colorful stuff.
I was gonna say, I look like I'm watching like the Usos making art.
Yeah,
from their first gimmick.
Dynamite's very colorful as well.
Yeah. If you ignore like how the product is presented as an artwork, the wrestling and the stories have gotten back less campy, more legitimate.
Yeah.
The wrestling is solid.
It's just not like edgy as it was. Like I don't know like why with Hunter in charge that he should just rebrand, or just bring NXT back to what it was loved by many. Like that's why I like NXT.
Okay, I'm going to answer your question with another question. Okay, so it was loved in that day, but if
I liked the product and I loved its pay-per-views.
Okay, so if the Blue Jays change their logo, and it's a bad-looking logo, but...
Oh, perfect. Let me talk to you about 2004.
But they were winning, and they got back to the playoffs and won a pennant. Would you really give a fuck about that logo anymore? You'd be going, hey, I don't like this logo, and I'd like to go back, but hey... We're in the playoffs every year.
Actually,
that's what could be happening with NXT.
Because I can mention this with the Toronto Raptors. We did win a championship with our new logo. I still don't like the logo.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just happy we won a championship.
Well, yes, we will always have the warm and fuzzies for the black and gold. As long as the product and the TV show is still as good or is worth watching like it was back in that day, I don't give a fuck what the color that logo is. I do not give a fuck.
Can we at least drop the 2.0 thing? Just keep it as an NXT.
Then it just be like now at this point I just don't know if they're going to do it because it's like, do you rebrand this? Do you brand and rebrand and go back?
It's like, okay, looking at the amount of times that Raw's logos changed, how come we're not talking about why it's like not Raw 30.2 or something? I don't know. Raw's been on the air for 30 years, so how come we're not calling it Raw 30 or whatever?
I don't know. I think they're just... I don't know. It might happen, but right now, the semantics of that I'm not too concerned with. What I care about is, hey, is the show going to be as good as it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? And if it is, I don't care how colorful the logo is. I don't care if they call it 2.0 or 7.5 or 3.1514177177, 1001001. I don't care. Just make NXT worth watching again, and I'm happy. So,
and stop changing wrestlers' theme music every 3 months. It's getting annoying.
That means that we can't go back to the decent music then.
I was because I don't know if any of you guys heard me earlier, but can we please just get Ciampa's song again? No One Will Survive again, please, please. You gave us Rebel Heart back. Like, come on, that's from
but that wasn't
one of the good Def Rebel songs.
That's not a Def Rebel song.
I swear I thought it was.
That's Paramore. Johnny Gargano's theme is from an actual band.
Well then.
So now it's time to light the fuse and bring the boom. It was from Cleveland. Easy was there. And to start the show, we have the Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia segment. Bryan Danielson comes out. I thought it was a good segment. It was good for Garcia. Sets up the Lionheart versus the American Dragon, which is something I definitely want to see, and I'm excited to see here in a couple weeks.
And by the way, if you guys were able to hear this, but when Garcia pushed down Chris Jericho, my floor section, we all went, "You fucked up. You fucked up."
We did hear that chant. I'm going to ask
CJ.
Welcome. I'm going to ask CJ what she thought of the. Here in the Facebook chat, Ciampa likes his new theme though, so there you go. That answers that question.
I just miss screaming, "No one will survive."
I'll ask CJ what she thought about, and then I want to get the person who was there's perspective. CJ, what do you think of this segment?
It was fine. I felt a little lost in the segment for a little while. Like, he's making all these points, and Jericho's just like, yeah, I know. Like, stop agreeing with him. You're supposed to be the bad guy. Stop being
He's a wizard.
Parent.
Actually, the best comparison I saw in the YouTube comments was this was like two divorced parents fighting over a kid.
Kind of, yes.
Like, this literally is. No, we're just like one crazy gimmick match away from this being a Daniel Garcia on a pole match.
Don't do that.
Didn't I say that?
You did, but I just don't want that.
I think I said that last week.
Oh, like, I know that I said it to the Geek when somebody pitched that this was going to be an
a custody of Daniel Garcia match.
Garcia on a pole match.
Yeah. Or in a shark cage. First person to lower Daniel Garcia has full custody of him.
Like the Judy Bagwell on a pole match, only with
Actually, no. They could do it like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. They have a briefcase that holds custody of Dominic.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of when I said it. I'm like, Dominic on a pole match, but
well, in this case, I think Rey would be on the pole since he's the smaller one. Hey-o.
But how did the segment come across live?
The energy was pretty awesome. Like, it was at times, a little bit hard to hear them speaking in the microphone, whether it was just their mics just being weird or people just wouldn't shut the fuck up. But this was an awesome segment, especially Jericho opening it up and welcome to Dynamite. He wasn't bashing Cleveland, which was a little weird. He never did that. But the segment was pretty awesome. Like, I loved it. There was a lot of awesome drama, and again, it was like two parents, fighting over the custody of their kids, saying like, "No, I'm the favorite parent. No, I'm the favorite parent." So I do like that. It kind of swindles into a setup between Jericho and Bryan Danielson. Like, it'd be awesome, and hopefully, we are hopefully one segment or handshake agreement away from creating Team Daniel Bryan.
Bryan Danielson's Danielson Bryan's, yes.
Exactly. Now, where the hell's Nick? He would have been all over this. He should get those trademarks in right now before TK steals them. And we can all get royalties. But yeah, that was a great segment.
So next up, we have Dax versus Jay Lethal. Good segment. Find out that Lethal's partners at All Out for the six-man tag with FTR and Wardlow will be the Motor City Machine Guns. This was cool. I got a good reaction for it, but I am also kind of asking, so why are we bringing in the Guns when there's so many people that are not used in AEW?
Yeah.
I mean,
like, I'm never going to complain about seeing the Motor City Machine Guns, but it's like, why aren't we giving more ring time to Singh, who needs it? Why can't they recruit somebody else for the night that needs it?
You have a locker room full of tag teams.
And it's also a little weird that it's like, wait a minute, Motor City Machine Guns have never been villains before.
Yes, they have.
As far as I know, okay, they have. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, in my Impact history, they've always been like one of the best tag teams ever. Sorry, Bucks, but I literally think Shelley and Saban are fucking way better than you guys.
Oh, I agree with that.
But anyways, also, by the way, with the match between Dax and Lethal, I actually didn't really like it as committed as everyone else did. I thought it was okay at best. That's literally it. It just felt like so slow in the beginning, and I was just literally getting bored. And when they were like doing like this is awesome, I'm like, no, it's not.
See, I love the match. Dax might be Wrestler of the Year, and this is another one for it.
I wasn't behind it. It was a good match. Or actually, sorry, like I said, it was okay, but it just seemed to drag on and on and on. It's like, I mean, we kind of have a stacked card here. Might want to hurry this up.
Yeah.
But
I think it was the right match that needed to be. CJ, what did you think of the match?
I like the match just fine. I didn't think like, oh, this is fantastic, this is amazing, but it was good.
A match that was pure amazing.
Find out that Thunder Rosa is injured, so there will be an interim World Women's Champion crown at All Out. Toni Storm, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Hikaru Shida, and Jamie Hayter. It's kind of...
AEW has been cursed by the WrestleMania 32 injury bug. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it sucks for Rosa, because I was really hoping... Her reign's falling flat, and I was kind of hoping this could be like a good passing of the torch. But we're not going to get that.
You know when you said that this was not a good reign for Rosa? I agree with you now.
Yeah, it's...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I literally went, are you fucking serious? When she said, like, I have to relinquish this. Like, are you, like, seriously? The injury bug is going out to everybody. It's like, what is going on here?
So next up we have Billy Gunn versus Colton Gunn. I'm glad that Colton won. It needed to happen. The Colton and Austin being with Stokely, that's a good call because it really seems like he's going to have like the Bobby Heenan family of just like managing a shit ton of people. And that's cool.
Wondering, what are you going to do to utilize them finally?
But, okay, so similar to the Heenan family, it was like they'd intermingle for like some like tag matches, but they were just kind of like, hey, we're all just managed by Bobby Heenan. And it was just kind of like, hey, these are all the wrestlers I manage, and you just like it wasn't, it wasn't like an NWO or a Horseman or a Bullet Club or,
God forbid,
anything like that. Where
I can see like where it's like his own like little faction of like multiple groups that he runs.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, like Heenan managed Andre, and he managed Tully and Arn, and he managed Mr. Perfect, and he just managed these guys, and that was fine, and it helped enhance the story and enhance the presentation of everybody that Bobby was with, and I feel like Stokely's going to do that with his stable. He's just going to be a manager. You might see some crossover for some multi-man and multi-women matches, but overall it's just going to be like, here is my management group, and and I'm okay with that. I it's been popular before, and it can be popular again. CJ, what do you think of that?
I think that you're very optimistic about what this could be, because I'm getting Hardy Family Office vibes, and I'm nervous.
Yeah. It's just like, now we've created the super team, and it's like, now what do we do?
And they're like, okay, so you got like a bunch of people that like haven't really ever been a big deal on AEW television, other than Jade, who I think had said something about like him being exclusively her publisher. I don't know where Smart Mark went.
I heard that. I thought he got like kicked out or something. I don't know. I'm really confused. Why is Smart Mark not part of Jade's brand anymore?
It's kind of like when they switched Darren's on Bewitched, except like 1,000 times more noticeable.
I don't watch Bewitched, so okay.
Well, they switched actors on Darren Stevens from Dick York to Dick Sargent, and they don't look alike and they don't talk alike, and it was very, very obvious that the dude was different, but the whole thing, like, they just played it straight. Like, Darren didn't have like a whole ass lift and got skinnier and had like complete facial reconstruction surgery.
And also, speaking about missing factions, where the fuck has America's top team been? Like, I know that's the last question I would ever ask, but
yeah, it's like,
where the hell have they been? Like, Scorpio's
all the
not
more reason
injured.
why. All love to the Motor City Machine Guns, but again, why are we bringing them in?
Actually, you know what? Yeah, as much as I love Motor City Machine Guns, American top team should have been the choice for Lethal.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, come on, Lethal and Scorpio Sky, that's a tag team dream on your own there.
But we're not, so.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But at least, you know, with MCMG here, that means they will finally have a dream match with the Bucks on AEW, and I'll be happy.
Maybe.
But we'll see. We'll see. Long-term storytelling.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Kylan King.
Oh boy. Cleveland got very hostile with this match.
Yeah. Baker did a good promo after. Shida came out, and when was the last time fucking Hikaru Shida was on Dynamite? That's a sincere question. If anybody knows, let me know either on the Facebook chat or in the YouTube comments. When was the last time Hikaru Shida's been on AEW Dynamite?
Yeah.
Dynamite. Don't tell, and don't at me with the, she was on Dark Elevation, or she was on Dark. No. Dynamite. A show. Dynamite.
No. Also, did any of the fuck Pittsburgh or fuck the Steelers chants make it on TV?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I started them on my little section. Although I tried to go, we want Adam chant, but oh well.
Yeah, good thing you didn't go with that one.
Yeah, no.
Tony Schiavone was backstage Swerve in Our Glory. They challenged the Acclaim for All Out. This match needs to happen. I guess the Acclaim's first shot at the tag titles. They're popular enough. They could conceivably win. I don't know who I'm going to pick in this match, but this is definitely a match that should happen. It'll be. The Chicago crowd should be hot for this.
I think that should be your opener match.
Maybe. Speaking of matches that went on earlier than we thought it would, and now we know why, AEW World Title Unification match. The interim champion Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. Punk got squashed, and I am fucking here for it. I am here for it. That was great. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I got one half of my dream. He beats, Moxley beats CM Punk. Now if in GCW he can just retire Nick Gage, everything's great. Everything's great there.
If these two things really happen, legitimately Jon Moxley will become the Geek's favorite wrestler of all time, surpassing Shawn Michaels.
Not that far, but
I think it will.
No, this did confuse us when we saw, like, oh, CM Punk, Jon Moxley's next, and we're like, wait, what? What?
Yeah, because we're messaging everybody in the group, and they're like, no, we have to be wrong.
Because we were, like, thinking, okay, wait, is this going to be, like, one of those, like, half-an-hour matches? Or
that's the first thing I thought is, like, are we going to have some shenanigans? And, that's the first thing, we have some shenanigans, and they know, hey, let's not fuck over the audience by doing that. But then, we got something better. We got CM Punk being squashed. Now,
Punk seriously missed an opportunity to do this and walk out with a Chicago Cubs jersey. Now, if you want to talk Britt Baker having with her Pittsburgh powers and all that, Punk just walking into with a Cubs jersey, and he will look to get beat up. Like, they are far more hated than others. Sort of, kind of, but still. This shocked me. Like, I didn't even realize that Moxley won, and I'm like, wait, did that just happen? What just happened? Even like me wearing a Moxley shirt, I'm like, holy shit, he's champion.
Yep, I'm for it. I guess let's talk about right now. The rumor and innuendo is they're going to run this match back at All Out, probably for Punk to win.
So are we really going to do the hot potato championship belt like Charlotte and Sasha Banks?
I'm going to let everybody else, because I'm going to emphasize right now, before we all speak, this is rumor and innuendo, but we will discuss the rumor and innuendo because we're the internet and that's what we do. Yeah. So I'm going to let everybody else speak first, and then I'm going to say my piece.
Yeah. Ladies first.
Okay. Go ahead and talk, Easy.
You're lucky your Cardinals won today.
We did.
We are.
Yeah.
We are because now since they won that series and it's the last series they're going to play against the Cubs, I might get killed in Chicago with the hat I'm going to wear.
Yeah. It's true. The Blue Jays and Red Sox are tied right now, but we got this. Hopefully. Anyway, CJ, sorry.
Like a UFC, yeah, that was good, yeah. About as long as Punk's UFC fights too, yes.
Yes, yeah, it was about as long as and the same results.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you run this back after a total squash, and that's exactly what it was. Like, we on the internet here, we like to call things squashes a lot. That was a squash, and you can like, oh, the foot. Okay, that's fine. So you're telling me the foot that he's been like having repaired and rehabbing for 3 months is not okay, but it'll be okay in less than 2 weeks. That's what you're telling me right now. And even still,
like, if you want us to still look at this as a sport, oh, hey, so-and-so was hurt and they got blown out. Okay, and that's just part of the game.
Yeah.
Like it sucks, and it sucks, and you can say as a fan, like, well, if A, B, and C weren't hurt, we would have won, and that's a legitimate criticism. Hey, if we played them with them healthy, it may be a different result. But the fact of the matter is, so-and-so, this is hurt, those people are hurt, you lost. That's what happens.
Go back to the drawing board, come see me in another 3 months, and we'll see what you got. The other big thing is that AEW is supposed to be, like, more sports feel. And I understand that maybe that's not the case anymore because the person who is pushing that narrative is now on the other product. Right. But that was the kind of thing that we all said we liked. And I'm still about that life, and I'm wondering what the fuck's going on. Because the rankings don't seem to matter for anybody anymore. And it doesn't even matter if they're on our roster. And
they've now turned into the whose line points. They really don't matter.
Nope.
Like, nothing matters. Nothing. It's just a matter of who got the most retweets and likes on Twitter is who's going to get the fucking match. And I don't get it. And I'm not quite fond of it. And I
agree, Michelle.
Sorry, I just had to acknowledge the chat. Do what?
I had to acknowledge the chat. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just acknowledging what we got in the chat here. Yeah, anything else you'd like to add?
I don't know what you do. If you wanted this to be the main event at All Out, then you shouldn't have run it last night. And if it's not, then I don't know who the fuck comes to challenge. I don't know who the challenger is, unless it's MJF. And even under those circumstances, as much as I want to see MJF hold that belt, I don't want it done this way. I want to see the rankings matter. I don't want somebody to come back after 3 months of being away off of TV and just have a title match. I don't want that either. Mm-hmm. I love MJF. I want him to have the belt. Don't want him to just be gifted an opportunity because that makes zero fucking sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Easy. Go ahead with yours.
Okay, so kind of like touching more with what CJ was going to say is I was literally going to do the same thing. But again, this confused the fuck out of me. Because, like, okay, yes, as I said before, I'm happy Mox is world champion. Again, if this were a longer match. But if the rumored is that, oh, they're just going to have like they're going to have a third rematch in Chicago, I'm like, then why the fuck did you build this for Cleveland? Like, I was seriously psyched that this was going to be maybe a brilliant main event. This was probably going to be in my top 10 favorite matches of the year. Like, this makes no sense. If you're going to like build like a story on this, then where's the fucking plot? Like, and everyone was all speculating like, oh, like, this is probably the night MJF is going to return. As I was not going to mention his name as a surprise, but anyways, it's whatever. What I literally thought was going to be was either this match goes to a draw, or this would be AEW's first disqualification. You have an intruder going in, attacking both guys, and it turns out it's MJF, making his insane return. So, but now that, we're not going to get that, probably not until Full Gear at this point now. Like, now the rumor is, like, yeah, you're going to set up Moxley and Punk. Oh, here, again, storyline perspective and a kayfabe perspective, this doesn't make sense. Because if Punk re-injured his ankle, how the fuck is that going to get better in 2 weeks when he was off the shelf for 3 months? It's like re-tearing a quad that you were out for like 9 months or so. And it's like, oh no, I'll be back to work in about week or two. It's like, that makes no sense. You're injured. If this was like a real injury, this literally could have ended CM Punk's career. So again, this makes no sense. And also, if we're going with the ranking system here, here's the top 5 from last week. It's Hangman, Powerhouse, Jericho, Garcia, and Lethal. For all 4 of those guys, they got matches at All Out, except for the one at number 1, which is Hangman. I would gladly love to see Moxley Hangman as your main event.
Yep.
Which would actually be probably a way better decision if we say, oh, Punk's going to be, just back in here. It's like, how about no? A Chicago pay-per-view can be successful without Punk. We saw that with Forbidden Door, much to our scared speculation. But Forbidden Door was actually a pretty damn awesome show. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but it was actually a damn great cross-promotion show. I really do hope we can do this again. Maybe this time it can be on New Japan's grounds. Maybe not the Tokyo Dome, but something similar. So, again, like, if Tony is trying to show us an amazing storytelling between 2 or 3 great athletes, then tell us what it is. The big problem here is if this was like a month or 2 ago, it would make slightly more sense. But here's the thing. You have a pay-per-view in 2 weeks. You got to put something on the table right now. Don't wait till, it's literally, we've all been there where we are finishing up homework or a project at the very last minute, and I'm guilty of that. You're just half-assing this. That's kind of what I think Tony Khan is doing. You're half-assing this dream main event you could have for All Out. Yep. And every year, we have a banger of a show in Chicago. But I'm kind of worried now with this year. Because you don't have a main event. If you're saying that it's going to be Punk Moxley Part 3, you're literally becoming Sasha Charlotte Part 10,000. Whereas, at least with Brock and Roman, there was a couple of times, whether Brock won it X amount of times or Roman won it X amount of times. No, with Charlotte and Sasha, that just went, oh, here, you have the title now. Oh, no, now you're the title. Is that? Oh, no, you're the title. This is literally what they're doing with the AEW. I can't believe that the championship has gone to this length, that it's becoming stupider than the early uses of the TNT championship, or God forbid now, the All-Atlantic championship belt. It's not worth it anymore. Makes no fucking sense.
So for me, here's my take on this whole matter. Here's my take on this whole matter. If this rumored, gonna get my disclaimers out of the way, this rumored main event happens, I get from a business perspective why. I get from a business perspective why. But here's my issue with it. AEW and the fan base have prided themselves on, we don't do these things. We don't do immediate rematches for the world title. We don't do the same match 2 weeks in a row. This, that, and the other. We don't do this, an automatic rematch, Oh, we're seeing this too much. Oh, what's Brock and Roman again. Well, pish, posh, pish. Why are we doing, we just saw that at WrestleMania. Why are we doing it at SummerSlam? Hum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. And, if we're gonna... My biggest pet peeve in all of fandom is... if you're going to use certain points of your fandom as to why you like something better, be it like morality or intelligence or anything like that, you gotta be consistent. You gotta be consistent across the board. And if you're going to say, well, I didn't like the SummerSlam main event, for example, because we've seen it a bunch, or we just saw it at WrestleMania. Why is this hyped? Why are you okay with this again? You've lost the right to claim, oh, I like this sort of, change in the main event, so that's why I like AEW better. But then when you're like, but this is okay because this is CM Punk and Jon Moxley in AEW, I'll forgive it because it sounds like, okay, you've lost your credibility to say, I don't like Brock and Roman getting the main event SummerSlam because they've done it before. Or they've done it recently. If you as a fan base, or a fan I should say, or you as a company are going to pride yourself on not doing these sorts of tropes that you feel are annoying. WWE having Randy Orton beat Drew McIntyre and then Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton right back again. If you're going to be against that sort of writing in your show, then don't do it. If you're going to come out publicly and say, we don't do these sort of things, that's what makes us a more well-written product. That's what makes us a better wrestling show to tune into. Then you can't do it. Or else you're going to look bad. It's just... you can't have your cake and eat it too. Now, you're free, and this is more so to the fans, you're free to just say, yeah, whatever AEW does, I like it because I like them and I don't like WWE. Then you're fine. Then you're fine. Now, I may not, when you say don't watch WWE, their show sucks, I may not take your opinion as seriously because you're like, well, you just don't like WWE, so maybe this match was good, maybe the show was good, you just don't like it. It's the give and take. You're free to have a fandom bias. You're free to be okay with this match happening again because, like, well, it's CM Punk in Chicago, or it's AEW, or it's Jon Moxley, or I want to see them go longer. If you just say that just purely from your fan perspective, and as a promoter, you're like, I think this match will be good. We're telling a story with the match. We want to have... all that is fine. But you can't... puff out your chest and be like, this is why we're better, we don't do this, and then go do it, and then be like, but it's okay when we do it because we're AEW. Or because it's AEW. That rubs me the wrong way. That bugs me. And I get that this will do good business. It's the... other than Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho, these are the two biggest stars in the company. And you have the four biggest stars facing off against each other. Like, I get the business side of it, sometimes you got to just do business. And, you know, with more time, it won't be a bad match. As much as I'm not a big CM Punk fan, I'm not going to completely player hate and say he's bad. He's not. I just don't care for him. But when the promoter and the fan base have talked about, we don't do stupid things like this for years, as to why we're the smart fans and the seasoned fans and the real wrestling fans and we're the intelligent fans and all of that, and then you do it and you're going like, oh, this is fine because we're doing it, and what I like is doing it, so therefore it's okay. This doesn't make the fan base look good. It doesn't make the promotion look good, in my opinion. And I hope this is just a rumored main event. But if they are running it back, and especially if they hot potato the world title, sometimes hot potato one's fine, but I don't like it. And if you're trying to tell me that this is what makes AEW a better show to watch, and that happens, I can't really, you're free to your opinion, but I can't really take you seriously. Especially if you're the same type of fan that complains when another organization does it. I can't get on board with this. I'll concede a bias of not liking CM Punk. That might play a role in it. Maybe but I'm going to admit the bias.
Well, and
go ahead, CJ.
Well, I was going to say, kind of like I said, okay, who else do you have if that's not the match? You really don't. And we've criticized WWE, and AEW fans, especially in the beginning, were very critical of WWE, saying well, they don't build new stars. They fail to build new stars on their roster, and we get the Goldbergs and the Undertakers and Stone Cold even in main events to really draw numbers because they can't make new stars. And here we sit listing the 4 biggest stars in AEW are not stars that AEW has made. They were established stars before they came to this company. And we're searching for someone who could be a legitimate main event title defense at All Out. And we can't really think of anyone because there's nobody that's been built. Even after he had a string of horrible, horrible luck with injuries this summer, he still failed to build a credible contender. Even in the one that he had built in Hangman, is no longer really a credible contender, even though he does fit the ranking system and he was a world champion. He doesn't feel like a big deal to challenge Jon Moxley, and there's no other way to say it. That's a failure on the booking.
Mm-hmm. And again, kind of going back to Hangman's reign, I'm sure I've said this on the show before. Part of the reason why a lot of us, especially during the Wednesday Night War, gravitated to AEW more than NXT was we said AEW is telling good stories and having great matches, where NXT is just having great matches, which is great. It's fine. I enjoy them, but AEW, that's what makes Tony Khan a better booker than Triple H. And we were all saying that, and that was our big rallying cry. See, Triple H really just isn't as good as we all thought he was. He just had good talent to have good matches, and it elevated his stock.
For me personally, I feel like
now
there's
we see
someone that got in the way of Triple H's booking. I still think Hunter can make great bookings, whether it was on NXT.
I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment that we as the fan base had, because the proof was kind of in the pudding. With they weren't telling good storylines, but they did have the matches. But now, what am I seeing from AEW? I'm seeing good matches, and just like Triple H had a few good stories going on in NXT, but I'm seeing good matches, but I'm not seeing the stories, really click like they were in 2019, 2020, part of 2021. So, the big rallying cry of this is why we're better isn't the case anymore. And now I'm wondering, like, okay, well, we came to the conclusion when that happened on another brand that, well, I guess Hunter's just really not that good. Are we supposed to think now that maybe Tony Khan's not as good as we thought he was? I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm like, that's a legitimate question,
So this is about, like,
Triple H had the talent to put on good matches, and it elevated him by association. Is that what's happening with Tony Khan right now? Is that what's happening with AEW? I mean that sincerely. We've standing precedent in play. Yeah. Because that was the big thing, and CJ and I met some great fans at Forbidden Door, and that was kind of the thing. I said, like, Hangman didn't have a good title reign. They're like, yeah, but he had great matches. And I'm like, yeah, he had great matches, but he wasn't the guy. He didn't feel like the guy. He didn't feel elevated. He didn't feel like with the writing he's ascended to that level. And that was something that AEW in the years of existence prior were really good at. So it's like, okay, the football team used to have good offense and good defense, and right now, well, we got a good quote. It's like the old Colts. Like, are they really? The Colts after Tony Dungy retired. Like, are they really a good team, or did Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne just make them look better than what they are? That's the question.
And also, about weeks ago, I read a report. This was from former AEW star Jack Evans, who said, Tony Khan's a great booker, but my one, criticism is he's the king of last minute changes. Which, thinking back now, yeah, I'm going to agree with him. I feel like TK might, on certain levels, probably have made a last minute change to a certain something, to build it on something for a pay-per-view or, short-term or long-term storytelling. But again, you got to let us enjoy what we're seeing rather than a last quick minute change. Like, imagine if we saw, like, Infinity War and then 2 weeks later, oh, hey, here's Endgame. It's like, wait, I just got through bawling my eyes out watching half the Marvel cast members get snapped away. Let me breathe before you give me the conclusion.
Right. And I'll say in defense of last minute changes, like every great booker, writer, I know we're breaking our rules here, but what else are we going to call them, does last minute changes. Vince did last minute, Vince and Bischoff were doing last minute changes all the time during the Monday Night War, and it's the most revered time in pro wrestling. Paul Heyman would do last minute changes and stuff on the fly in ECW.
Sure,
like doing last minute changes isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is kind of like, last minute changes giveth and last minute changes taketh away. And right now I'm beginning to feel like they're taking away. CJ, what do you think?
I mean, I've been kind of outspoken about what I think about the booking and how things are kind of going in AEW in general over the past probably several months. I'm not enjoying it as much as I was.
Didn't you actually state this in your State of the Union?
Yeah,
I think you probably did say something along these lines.
I remember, I definitely said all of my thoughts on our State of the Union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but now it's like even worse, I feel.
Yeah. I think it's when we did that, we were, how do I say this? It's kind of like if you've never had a really good steak, then a well done steak tastes pretty okay. You're like, yeah, I kind of like steak. I put some A1 sauce on it. It's not so bad, you know. I suspend my disbelief just a little bit more. I work a little bit harder, and AEW is not that bad if I don't pay attention to all the details that I enjoy. But once you've had a good steak, and I'm not saying that WWE right now is just like a freaking Japanese Kobe beef steak, but I'm saying, like, when the product is slacking on one side and the other side is getting good, for lack of a better, you know, it's getting better, it's improving, you're seeing that the things that you were criticizing can realistically be done, it holds the microscope up to the other product, I think. And
your dog agrees.
The same way.
Dane and Mabel are agreeing. But, you know, it's kind of, yeah, it is very much like, you know, when you're used to Jimmy John's bringing it every time you order it, and then the last few times you went to Jimmy John's, you're like, the mustard didn't taste right, and the bread wasn't as fresh, and the cheese was a little hard, and the meat wasn't as good. You know, it's still a good sandwich, but, you know, all these little things, you know, kind of add up, and then you go to Subway a couple times, you're like, hey, Subway did a good job. You're not saying that Subway is better than Jimmy John's, but getting let down by something you once loved, and that hurts more than being, you know, let down by something you are used to being let down by, and now you're not being let down by that anymore. So, you know, you're kind of digging Subway.
Until you make your decision to make your own damn sandwich. I prefer Firehouse subs.
Those are very good.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, we need more of those.
Main event. We have a main event to talk about. It is a semifinal match for the Trios titles. Death Triangle versus the United Empire. I know everybody's talking about Will Ospreay, and that's like everybody's all huzzah, Will Ospreay. But I was more excited that Kip Sabian.
Wait. We missed somebody. A certain somebody that CJ likes.
That's true.
Yeah,
we
did miss the promo of the fucking night, but no big deal.
Yeah, that's true. I'll say Ricky Starks could be the top good guy in this company if they fucking use him after that promo. Everything we said about not building up new stars. Here's one. Here's a fucking star. Here's a fucking star that just gave his breakout promo. Fucking take advantage of it, for the love of Christ.
I will say, it was a great promo. Especially in person.
Yeah.
That's why I'm starting to hear more people start screaming the revolution is televised.
Mm-hmm. Because he's a fucking star. I said this to him. I said this when he was in the fucking NWA. I've said this long, long before he made his AEW debut. He's a fucking star. He's good in the ring. He's good on the mic. He looks like money.
As much as I'll always, jokingly ignore his acknowledgement, I always say, because we all need running gags on a podcast.
Yeah.
Seriously, I actually love this promo.
No, I love this promo too. And again, so what are we going to do with this? Are we going to elevate him to where he could conceivably beat in a year's time? He doesn't have to win. You don't have to win right away, but can we elevate him enough that we could buy into him beating Kenny and Mox and Brian and not necessarily Hangman,
honestly,
or Punk or Jericho? Are we going to do that, or are we going to firmly say that the WWE guys he's not as big of a star as CM Punk, so why bother? Or Moxley or Brian? I'm not just going to drink the haterade on Punk. Other people I like maybe, or Jericho. We going to make sure that he's firmly underneath them, or are we going to rise Ricky up?
This is weird. It's we've been rising Ricky, from a fake championship of all things, and people got behind him because he's got fucking talents.
Yeah.
So now I'm just TK has hit the reset button on what do I do with this kid.
Hopefully not. Hopefully this is the beginning. Hopefully this is one of the. Hopefully this will be one of the hits, and we don't in 6 months go, what the fuck are they doing with Ricky Starks? Because I got news for you. If they misuse Ricky Starks, Triple H will use Ricky Starks.
Oh yeah,
and Ricky Starks has one of his good friends in WWE right now. Yeah.
Cody.
Oh yeah.
They're good buddies. Ricky actually trains at the Nightmare Factory.
I was gonna say, I feel like
as
he
a trainer,
should be the next TNT champion at some point.
Yep.
He'd be a great TNT champion. He'd be a great AEW World Champion.
God, actually, you know what? Wait a minute. If he was able to pump up a fake championship belt like the FTW championship, I think he could probably do the same thing with the All Atlantic championship.
Yeah.
Don't give him the Ocean Spray Cranberry belt.
We do have to. We do have more stuff we got to cover, and we have a live stream that the battery's about to die on. So, trios match. It was a good match. Not going to completely, hate on Ospreay. He did better in this match than he did in the G1 final or against Juice Robinson. So I'll give him that.
I was just happy to see Will Ospreay in person.
I was more happy to see Kip Sabian finally.
I was so excited about Kip Sabian.
We love Kip here.
I can't believe I got duped that I got a selfie with a fake Kip.
Yeah, you got the fake Kip.
You got fake Kip.
Yeah, now I wonder though. At Forbidden Door, did we meet the real Kip, or was that the fake Kip? I don't know.
I was gonna say maybe it was a fake Kip all along, like it was Agatha all along.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't get. I think at All Out Meet and Greet it was the real Kip, but now I'm questioning whether or not it was the real Kip at Forbidden Door.
I think it was the real Kip at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
I'm also probably wondering, so is Kip just coming back on his own, or is he going to help United Empire? I don't know. So I feel like there must have been
I think Ospreay alluded to Kip a little bit in a promo in New Japan, so I think he might be like, maybe when United Empire isn't around, he might be like an AEW representative of,
I was going to say, he could be a good representative for United Empire.
But he's also been stalking Pac about that belt.
Yeah.
Like, he's been showing up to stalk him when he has those title defenses. So I think it's more about that than it's anything else.
Also, the match in person was, I don't even know what to describe it. You just watch the highlights. Everybody was just on pins and needles with this, and I loved every minute of it. You may see this match being shouted out, or maybe on the list on the top 10 at the end of the year.
It won't be on mine, but you're welcome to that opinion.
My list, my rules.
Yeah, I'm saying I can tell you right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, no, it will not be in my top 10 list because it's not in my top 10 now. But it wasn't a bad match. That I think we're going to get Ospreay and Kenny in the Dome. I really think so, especially because they're really they've been having the war words on Twitter, and
also after the match, the Elite came out, lined a brawl, and then a special treat that Cleveland got, and you can see it on YouTube. We had probably, in my opinion, the best promo war I've seen. I'm not saying since Punk and MJF, but this was pretty awesome of exchange of words between Omega and Ospreay.
Yep.
Like for a good 6 minutes. Just watch it on YouTube, people. You'll love it.
And I know there's a lot more stuff to talk about, but I don't really think there's anything more we can add. There was a backstage meeting. None of us were privy to what happened in that backstage meeting, so I really don't, at least with how long we've gone today, really don't think there's anything we can add of any merit because none of us really know what was said or done. But I will say it does feel like, again...
There's communication breakdown happening.
There's communication breakdown happening, and we'll all take our final thoughts on this quickly because we're about to die on the live stream, but and not because of internet this time. But I will say this about kind of, again, rumor and innuendo, may not be true, but AEW, I've said a while back, AEW is no longer a revolution. It's now found its spot, in the system. It's not fighting the system. It's part of the system. And part of being that
I didn't sell out. I bought in.
Yeah. But now you're seeing it's a workplace. Like any other workplace where some people are going to get along, some people are not going to get along. Some people are going to get what they truly deserve, and some people are going to be overlooked unfairly, and some people are not going to deserve it, and they're going to get it. That's what happens in every workplace. It happens in where I work, where CJ works, where EZ works, where probably Nick works, where everybody works. It's not fair. And we gotta. This is just my one thing. People are free to be fans however they want and interpret however they want. Whether it's a fandom, and especially here on the internet, don't let the facts get in the way of a good opinion. But we gotta see AEW as just a word. Okay, when Cody left, he was, the narrative is he's a traitor that threw away being part of the revolution to sell out to be part of Vince's crony land. Okay, but we're seeing more issues and stuff happening now. We need to accept that AEW is not magical gumdrop happy land anymore. It is a workplace where some people are not going to get along, where some people are going to be overlooked, where some people are not going to get what's coming to them, despite the fact that they have the talent, charisma, and the presence to be all that and then some. And now that it's happening in AEW, we need to accept that it's also not going to happen in WWE, or Impact, or New Japan, AAA, or CMLL, any other promotions too. People are going to get overlooked when they don't need to be in AEW. People are going to get, they're going to side with maybe the person that draws the more money in AEW than the person that's actually a better person. That's going to happen. So that happens in AEW, except that it's going to happen elsewhere. And that's my final thought. Anything else anybody wants to add?
I just want to quickly just point that out there. If anyone saw the news, that Eddie Kingston was quietly suspended because him and Sammy Guevara had an altercation that got what was reported physical and verbal. Eddie did apologize on Twitter, but I'm just going to point this out there. If Eddie Kingston fucks up his AEW career, he is never going to work for a major brand again. Like, that is it. Because, Jericho said it in a promo, whether it was, part of his wording, but he does have a point that nobody's going to hire him if he's going to have any more backstage drama with somebody. WWE sure as hell they're never going to hire him. He's not going to go back to Impact. GCW might hire him, but that's just it. If Kingston fucks up AEW, he's done. So just
and also, he shouldn't have done it, and he owned it. I'd like to know what was said, because, I'm not condoning it. He was in the wrong if he got physical, but I'd like to know what Sammy did to, deserve it or not deserve it,
It was over the promos. So that's allegedly what the altercation was about, was what Sammy said in his promo.
And also, for someone who kind of acts like a locker room leader, like if anybody saw the Brody Lee tribute video that BTE did, where Eddie is actually pumping up everybody, that kind of shocks me a little bit.
Well, it shouldn't, because Bret Hart was the locker room leader in 1997, and then when Shawn Michaels cut a promo that Bret Hart felt crossed the line, they had a backstage fight that led to just more bullshit in their whole fucking drama that they had throughout that year. So, yes, even the locker room leaders get into fights.
Yeah.
I think it's a work. I think it's a work. That's my opinion on the entire thing.
We'll see. Yeah, AEW is the promotion that would try, that they know the fan base, and they know that they'll get meta like this.
As I said, if Kingston fucks up his AEW career, he's finished.
I don't think he's finished. I think he'll be fine.
No. Yeah, on the indie circuit, that's pretty much it.
I mean, that's
how he wants to make his living. Cool, but
he did it is for the reason time.
People know you.
Impact.
You're lucky that people like us, we knew who you were beforehand.
Well, and he will, if he gets released under those circumstances, people will pay good money in GCW, Impact, and all across the indies to come see him and be, look at all the money that Matt Cardona is making right now.
Yep.
So Eddie Kingston will be fine because people will be happy to come see the guy that was, doesn't play well with others coming to their town.
Right, but there's a point when, you're either Matt Cardona or you're Nick Gage. One of those
people pay I don't like Nick Gage, but people pay a shit ton of money to see Nick Gage. I don't get it, but it's there. Just saying. But that is the show for this week. I want to thank you all for tuning in, be it live on Facebook or watching the tape version here on YouTube. If you enjoyed, please like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages like Facebook.com/AthleticGeekA9, Twitter, Athletic_Geek89, Instagram, AthleticGeekA9. I'm on Patreon if you'd like to help improve this channel. CJ, do you have social media?
Yes, I am on Twitter @CJTMO0.
Easy, do you have social media?
Follow me at the Twitter, ERIKZERINS, so Eric Zarns. See you on the Twitter.
All right, well, for EZ and CJ, I'm the Athletic Geek. We are just Marks, and we're out. Y'all have a good one.